Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. What up? Everybody can hear me? Can y'all hear me? We got test 1, 2 on that mic. Yeah, we got a full disclosure thing going on. We have making sure mic is good. See what our sound is. Yeah. All right. So, y'all, welcome. Let me go ahead and just switch it over to the live scene right quick. And let's go over here. All right, so this is what the vertical looks like. If you guys are on the vertical side, we have a condensed view of the desktop. So let's go to Zenus. All right. So let's give you some disclaimers going on, right? So last night it was around like 10. I think it was 10. Don't know. Thank you. Yeah, we got the black screen. I mean, we got cropping, we got space background, so you know we're doing things big over chill, right? So last night, gamer vibes. Yo, hit girl, if y'all want to see what the notifications look like, you know, you bring some people in to subscribe here through YouTube, subscribe through Twitch. What's all this alien talk? I know. Yeah, but you can't dash while you stream. I know. Yeah, and then look at my phone too. You know, that's all I gotta say about that is dead auntie. She did. That's all I gotta say about that. So last night, right? It was like 10. Trump goes like, we're gonna release the files of everything. I'm gonna order a release of all files. I was like, what? Like, it completely changed the dynamic on everything. I'm gonna see what the multi-stream is like. So if everybody is on here, so yeah, I got a multi-stream going on too, chat. So if y'all guys are curious to know exactly where we're streaming on Twitter, we're streaming on Kick, okay, and then we got the dual output on YouTube. Oh yeah, X. That's it. Twitter, right? So X is now Twitter. But anyway, so Trizzy Trump, right, was like, bruh, we're gonna go ahead and put all the folks. Yeah, we're gonna put all the folks on notice. Like, you guys, every department that would be related to this is gonna need to now release the files, like every single one. Now, there was a thing that came out in August. It was called Full Disclosure. It was a pretty the Age of Disclosure. Yeah, Age of Disclosure. It was pretty good. Like that was a good little documentary. It had like some big people that were in like one of the most secret departments that they had ATIP and all that stuff, and they were going investigating UAPs. They had eyewitness accounts. They were, all these people had testified. So all this stuff kind of built up over time, because 30 plus years ago, almost 40, I think almost 40, Bob Lazar comes out publicly about aliens, working on alien aircraft, talking about he's seen non-human biological entities, and then also he's seen an element called, I think it's element 115. I'm not too sure, but I'll look it all up in the summary and everything. But all that stuff was happening, and George Knapp has been on this for the longest, like trying to like disclose everything, get all the information, trying to use FOIA requests and everything to get all that out. parts of it was declassified. There was an act for disclosing like UAPs. They had hearings on this. Since the president has full classification authority, because he has this, he is under authority. He can go ahead and make those guys release these files. Obama last week, nonchalant, was like, yeah, aliens are real. What's good there, Royce? Oh yeah, let me open up. I'm gonna open up my voice chat here. All right, guys, pop in if you guys want to talk about this. Anybody who has access to my Discord into the Discord chat, you guys want to chime in? You have any info or anything you want to contribute? Come on in. You guys are welcome. So, with all that happening, all these years, the last, I'd say 5 years have been really important with disclosure. Okay, I say about since 2021, this has been the most important time for disclosing, like, if the alien conspiracy is real, if there are contact with actual non-biological human entities, whether we have technology from outside the solar system, outside the galaxy, from another star system. If all that's possible and all that's real, and then we're going to get confirmation of this from the departments, it's going to change everything. Yo, the pothead, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I don't know. That's one of the questions I got. So y'all are welcome to join me on this, and we'll break it all down. I'll try to do like a couple hours of this, but I gotta roll around like 9. So see how much we get. Maybe it was aliens that got the park, bro. Yeah, they probably probed. There's a good chance. So with all this stuff that's going on, and like the disclosure stuff and everything, if you guys haven't seen any of those clips, there's a really interesting one with like a missile hitting an object that it looks like a spacecraft, and it just bounces right off. It looks like one of those little toy arrows with the little section at the end where you would try to stick it to a target on the wall, and it would just bounce right off. It looked just like that. That's immediately what I thought. And this here is pretty much like what we would have to deal with if this is an actual threat. We don't know. We have no idea how or why these guys operate in silence. Maybe there's a government like cover up for these guys to just operate in a hidden how do you say it's like a hidden kind of group of people, like a shadow little government that they operate in like some galactic order. I'm not sure, but there are kind of like conspiracies regarding this, that they've always been here and they haven't left. They probably live in the ocean and all that stuff. So that's going to be like most of the things. So I'm not sure. It's really interesting, but right now we'll look at Fox 5 because this popped up on my feed. So Fox 5, I'll zoom in so you guys can see. So the brief here is pretty much fast facts, saying that President Trump has ordered several government agencies to release files about aliens and UFOs. The next one is Trump shared the news on Truth Social last night. And then the announcement comes days after Barack Obama actually clarified recent comments that the existence of aliens. He wasn't supposed to share that info, y'all. That's why Trump's like, I have to now do something about it, because this stuff was like taboo for a bit. Anybody who was like, they always say it. They're like, oh, I was go look. I would never get the answers, all that blah, blah, blah. And I wouldn't be able to get anything. Always get told there's nothing. But why did Obama just out of the blue, boom? You know, I think it's got something to do with he's being mentioned in a certain, you know what I'm talking about. He's been mentioned in a certain thing. I mean, he's in a certain file. So I'm not gonna allege anything. I'm just saying, like, maybe this is a distraction, and these elites are distracting everything. The Pentagon said aliens were real a few years ago. No, Conquistador. They said UAPs exist. They said they don't know what they are, and they don't know why they're here. They didn't say the actual aliens. Obama said aliens. Now, that's the first time a former president has ever confirmed something that he would have access to. Think about that. A guy who would have visual access to information that would change the history of the entire planet, that would change how socioeconomic policies would happen, that could change how the world works with this information. Like, could create complete chaos and panic, like shut down all financial institutions and just create this like pandemonium of just people are just going to not care anymore because it will break the human psyche. Like, people want something to believe in. Like, this is just the general sheep of people. Like, the sheep. A lot of people are followers. Not a lot of folks are leaders. So there's a lot of thought into this. Like, if there's a certain thing that would kind of break the brain of people who are kind of simple, they don't like look into technology. They don't want to do much. They like their little thing, their little cubby hole of where they live. The minute you introduce them to something that breaks all that completely shatters their reality, rebel is the next step. So if you want to like a taste of what it would look like, go watch this show called Westworld. I don't think you can watch anymore on HBO Max, but it used to be there because HBO Max had it. Had it for a while, but then they did the Warner Brothers Discovery little merger, and then they just kind of did away with it. But if you watch Westworld, it talks about like artificial intelligence with robots. They're like robots that have AI in them. They learn and they grow and they change, but they only know the little world that they're in. Okay. The minute you introduce something that they're not used to, their programming fries. They can't. There's no it loops. It pretty much loops, and their whole psychological makeup just crumbles because they can't grasp that reality. Not a lot of people could do that. Not a lot of people could just be like, "Well, this is a cool thing, very intriguing. What's next?" A lot of curious people would be like that. Now, some aren't. I would say there's probably 0.1% of the population. If I were to split it up into thirds. All right, there's 0.1% that would be actually interested in what's in this news. All right, because you got a third of the population that would say, okay, we don't want it. We don't believe, You got the third of the population that would be like, well, my religion doesn't take this, so I'm not going to follow it because it goes against my religion. And if there are some that accept and just go with it, that's cool, but they don't want to know anymore. Just don't show them the pictures or anything. They'll be okay, not the willful ignorance kind of thing. Then there's the 0.1% that wants to see, wants to engage, wants to learn, and communicate and all that. It's like there's a smaller population of people that would want all that. But if you get the larger populations rebelling against all that, and you got mass panic across the entire globe. Not sure if it will happen that way, but this right here would I should point down. This right here is what's going to dictate that. So President Trump is going to direct the Pentagon and other government agencies to identify and release related files related to the extraterrestrials and unidentified flying objects. That would mean identify and release. So that would mean they have to go searching. They would need to go to all agencies across the entire government and say, if you know anything on this, you got to release it. There are a lot of bureaucrats that have had this information for a while and they refuse to release it. I wonder how that's going to go. So last night, Trump shared the news, as I was mentioning, and accused of former President Obama that he was disclosing classified information when he suggested a podcast that aliens were real. He's a former president. He still has security briefings. He still gets all that. Okay. He still gets Secret Service, right, for the rest of his life. That's pretty much how that works. The perks of being a president. And he still gets his salary as a president. So he gets the salary of the president for the rest of his life. Talk about a good retirement plan. So I'll be excited if aliens is yeah. So you're a part of that 0.1%, Scott Hall. There's not a lot of folk that are going to be like able to comprehend that, and it kind of messes with how they think. You know, mental health wise, it's just going to be a nightmare. So the classified information part's really interesting. That would suggest that they've all known for quite some time. And yet they refuse to tell us. But because it was said, they have to tell us. So it's like, you see how that kind of like goes back and forth, and it's like one of those like infinite loops. If you have no programming, it's the if then, and then you don't have a solution. So you just keep looping until you find that else. So if you don't put if then else or a catch all, it's just gonna it's all messed up. So yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. But then, oops, Obama goes, no. I'm not saying that we've actually like interacted with them. I'm just saying that it's possible that they're out there. Bro. No. The president told reporters on board Air Force One, I don't know if they're real or not. Instead of Obama, I may get him out of trouble by declassifying. Oh, man. So, the dude knows, guys. He just can't really say something like that because he has to declassify the stuff first. All right. And once it's out there, like they're going to document dump like they did the freaking Epstein files. And they're going to be like, okay, first contact, second contact, the treaties that they probably signed, other galaxies that have came in, and if there is any. But they've only talked about 2 known species, okay? There's the reptilian race, and then there's the Greys. Those are the only 2 that have been actually spoken out loud by people that have seen these things. 2 races, but they say there are over 10. There's over 10. Like they know of 10, but they've actually had contact with 2. Okay. Wow. She's like, bro, like, I don't know how to bring and put this all in perspective, like how big of a deal this is. We're on the cusp of like of a change in our own existence, because now we're the ants. We're the ants, y'all. If this is a fact, all right. If there is any in those documents, even if it's just one sentence of we have had physical contact with a being of extraterrestrial origin. If that sentence is in any document. We have shifted ourselves from the food chain. We are now, the pyramid shifts, just like in the food pyramid, and we are the ants, guys. We become the bottom because we are not the most technological powerhouse in the existence. We become the least, we're the youngest of the species, we're the dumbest of the species. We can't figure out propulsion systems that go beyond faster than light or even light speed. We have all this science fiction novels, we have all these science fiction shows and movies to tell us that these exist, but we don't know if it's possible. But yet there are beings from other planets, other galaxies, that have this technology and have used it for a long time. We're talking billions of years advanced than us. That's a big issue, y'all. We're not a billion years. We're not even close to a billion years. Every race and culture has spoken about aliens. Us humans definitely turned them into the gods we know today. Yeah, the Anunnaki they talk about. Man, let me spell it for y'all, so y'all know about this here. I think there's 2 N's in Anunnaki. Spell check me. I think it's wrong. It's 2 N's. Yeah. There we go. There you go, guys. So these guys, Anunnaki, have been here. They call it Planet X or something. That was one of the planets that were like it's an elliptical orbit. The creation story in the Bible is very similar to the Anunnaki creation story. Yeah, they're saying there's an elliptical orbit that's like spans past a lot of the planets in our own solar system, and like every 10,000 years or so, they cross Pluto and stuff, and it'll get close enough to where they can just fly over to us. I'm not sure. These are just like stories that have been told over time. It doesn't sound. It's very fiction based, but Anunnaki are these gods through Egyptian times. They were the ones that gave the gifts of knowledge to the Egyptians and showed them how to use electricity. That's why the pyramids were built. The pyramids are within, I think, 0.1 degree of accuracy to the lighting of the stars. Sumerians. Oh, yeah, Sumerians. Sorry, not Egyptians. Sumerians. My bad, Queef. Thank you for fact checking me. Yes, ancient Sumerian. So the Sumerians, first language, this is the first civilization known to man. Like language and everything like that. This was supposedly taught to them, but they kept returning. The Anunnaki kept returning, just so you know, Queef. They would keep returning. And the Anunnaki has been spoken about in Egyptian texts as well. So these people have been like the pyramids that were built. These were supposedly from these beings, the Anunnakis, and the ley lands, like that stuff. Like what was in Mexico, Aztecs, like the pyramids that were built all across the entire world. Oh, I know humanity were created as slaves in the story. Yes. So the story of the Anunnaki, if we were going to go back into that, is that there was gold, a lot of gold on Earth, a lot of gold. They came here. They noticed that they would have to mine it. So they were like, well, we don't want to mine it. We're going to go ahead and grab these apes and genetically modify them with our DNA. So they genetically modify the apes and they make them smarter and they make them stronger. than like a regular bipedal, you know, like, because they stop them from using their hands to walk to using their feet. Humans are weaker than the apes, but they're stronger in a way because they can create things. So that's what makes them more efficient, because we have the ability to create. That's a part of the brain that we have that kind of like takes away from others as far as species goes, is that we can create. So it's the innovation, the inventions that we make. And this, coupled with that, you know, to make us able to make tools to dig these things out, gave the stuff to the Anunnaki, and they would take that with them into their planet and stuff. So I'm not sure, like, if any of that's true or anything, but most of that story has to do with mining gold. And the thing is, it's like there's a lot of like big monoliths that are around that weigh so much that not even our own tech can move it. And that stuff is like very, very, very interesting. There's also like theory about the pyramids being built. Good coffee. There's stuff about pyramid being built, that they used a way of using anti-gravity, but then people were like, well, scientists looked at everything and were like, well, they didn't need to do any tech, like actual intelligence. They just needed to wet the ground. And they said wetting the ground with water created like a frictionless kind of like ice, and they were able to just glide it across with no effort. Kind of like what happens to the rocks. There's like these walking rocks that would happen in the desert in, I think it's Arizona or Nevada. It's one of the deserts there. There's these rocks that they say walk, they move. So those rocks actually move because the ground has water and it fills up from the cracks and then freezes because it gets cold enough for the water to freeze, which creates frictionless movement of the rock across. So that theory is what they used to say, okay, maybe that's how they moved the rocks in Egypt. So those are really big stone blocks that are very heavy. And yeah, given time and everything and enough people, you can move a stone, but the amount of stones they moved and the distance they had to move it from, I don't know. Like, again, very interesting. Our history is kind of like intertwined with all this stuff, and we've always had contact with these things, and they help guide humanity from these stories. If you guys ever want to hear these theories, go to Ancient Aliens, check them out. Chariot of the Gods, you could read that book as well. They talk about the Anunnaki on there. But it's not here and there. We're talking about disclosure right now, not stories. We want to know facts. So Trump talks release of aliens and UFO files. So he says Trump talked about the release of the files Thursday, not in a post on his Truth Social. He said, based on tremendous interest shown, I'll be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and unidentified flying objects, and any all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. Right here, man, is probably the most important line I've ever seen in a government, like official government statement. New evidence shows that the Egyptians used water canals along with a police system to move the rocks. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Queef. that same process with the rocks that move, they glide, like they were saying, they move by themselves, and I think it was the Nevada desert. They found, like, they looked at that, they kind of found that out. They didn't know when they did the test. They were like, oh snap. So water kind of, when it rains and stuff, the water gets put into the ground, but then there's a layer that stays above the ground and it freezes. And by the time the sun comes out, it all evaporates away. But that time when the ice is there, those rocks just move. It's the same kind of concept that they said for how the Egyptians was able to move those giant stone blocks. Not only just the pulley system, they needed something to create that frictionless path so they can easily move it. Because if you try to move stone on a rock through sand, it's not easy. But if you wet the sand, but if then you freeze the sand, you get a layer that just makes it easy to glide through. But that line right there, very important line. I personally think this will change humanity, that line. Okay? I've never seen a government official say this without saying, I can't tell you these things, or I will be having consequences put upon me. Wild stuff. All right, now, there's been a renewed public interest in UFOs and the potential of the government concealing secrets of aliens after a group of former Pentagon and government officials leaked Navy videos of unknown objects in the New York Times on Politico 2017. All right, I can show you a clip of this. I know exactly what this is. It's interesting from the doc series, them talking about UFO and water. Yeah. So they were talking about, like, they think that UFOs are in the ocean because of everything we've explored, the ocean is the least explored. I think we've done 30% of the ocean, and the ocean takes up 70% of the entire planet. So if you take those numbers, that's a pretty small number. You know, there's still 70% that we haven't even looked at. And we can't even dive deep enough because the pressure from the water, the more you go deep down into the ocean, the stronger the pressure. Like, you can get crushed. As a human being, we're not made to be underwater for very long periods of time. We're only meant to be in shallow water. But the depths of the ocean that we would need to go to, the bottom of it, where all that stuff would probably be hidden, we don't have the technology to do it. Even when we take robots down, we can only go so far. Ocean Gate, bro, no. The Titan one, yeah, that thing exploded. It exploded, y'all. All right, so let me show you a video that was very scary video. All right, it was a Hellfire missile and a UFO video. Watch this, guys, okay? This is going to shock the crap out of y'all.
Grip, stability, precision. That's the essence of driving. Lawfin.
Trying to predict the future is a hazardous occupation. The only thing we can be sure of is that it will be...
A close encounter on Capitol Hill with Representative Eric Burleson showing some whistleblower video during...
All right, right here. This right here, y'all, that's the object. All right, it looks really bad, but that right there in the center is the object. Hey, White Wolf, thank you for your sub. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right here. That's the object, all right?
A hearing about UFOs.
That is the missile. Let me go back a little bit so y'all can see it. I'm going to go back. So pay attention. I'm going to let it play. But that right there, you're going to see that missile hit the object. But watch what happens to the missile.
Eric Burleson showing some whistleblower video during a hearing about UFOs. It seems to show a U.S.
It hits it, and it just dings off, guys. A Hellfire missile just bounces off. They directly hit it, and the thing didn't even explode. Do you understand the importance of what that, like a Hellfire missile, when it explodes, the thing, it's huge. It's like about 10 steps below nuclear freaking explosion. It creates a shockwave. It's huge. It's one of the strongest missiles that's non-nuclear. It's a step below MOBA, but it's near it, and they shot at it directly. Nothing happened. That right there kind of scared the entire gasps in the hearing when they found out that this object did nothing to the UFO. I was completely floored. So that's pretty much the stuff that they have and they found, and that they don't have any clue as to why. Like, they have no idea. So this resulted in Congress holding first hearings in 2022 in 50 years, which is a pretty big deal because in 50 years they haven't done anything about this. So that's one of the things we needed to address. Like, hey guys, like, what's going on? Though officials said that the objects, which appeared to be green triangles floating in the naval ship, were possible drones. Well, I mean, they're triangles. I don't think they're drones. I highly doubt they're drones. Associated Press reported the Pentagon also created the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARROW, Project ARROW. What if Epstein was part of a program? Like, oh my gosh, come on, Queef. That's for tomorrow. You want to talk about that? Let's talk about that tomorrow. That's conspiracy, sir. Which was meant to be a hub to gather all reports, all your military UFO encounters. All right. Furthermore, information released to the public shows the majority of UFO reports made by the military go unsolved, but the ones that are identified are harmless. All right, so that's all they got. Now what Fox News got. This is Fox News. So, see the tremendous interest part? I don't think it's tremendous interest. What I think is there's so much noise with, what's it called? With the Epstein stuff, right? There's so much noise with it that I think they're trying to do stuff to kind of like distract people so that nobody talks about like Epstein stuff because of what's in it, right? That's been getting a lot of attention, and it's just weird that Obama brought this up. You know, it strikes me as odd. I don't know, y'all. I just find it odd. I don't know if you guys find it odd. I do. It's just because of like the situation. All right. So this is the interview with Brian Tyler Cohen on YouTube, which was Saturday, which is going to be a week tomorrow. And pretty much saying the same thing. They're going to look at that. But, like, he calls it a big mistake that he wasn't supposed to do it. And he says he's accusing Obama of disclosing secrets about possible non-human visitors to Earth. All right. So, back in, what was it? This was like after the Roswell incident and everything. Dwight D. Eisenhower. There is, I think it was Dwight D. Eisenhower. There's a period of time in his, it's either that or Truman. It's one of the two. that there was a log. They usually record everything. They usually record all the logs. And there's a period of time, about 2 to 3 hour gap in the president's flight log during that time. Now, the theory is he blocked it out completely, like, redacted it because of him going to visit these things that landed in Area 51. Like, they had a meeting and they went to talk. Here's what makes it interesting. Because if it was Eisenhower, it was in the 50s. A few years later, they start talking about computers and microchips and all that. And then a few years later after that, they start talking about mainframe servers. And then a few years after that, televisions were coming out. No more radio. Satellites. And space exploration. And then a few years after that, we got the 70s now. We got the internet. We have, in the last 80 years, from World War II, we have exponentially increased our technology in 80 years. That's like almost a vertical. We were going like this for quite some time. Things were getting, more advanced, but they weren't going as fast as they did from 1940s, like 1949, 1950s. It went like this. Because 47 was the Roswell incident, I believe. We went like this. And by 3 years after the Roswell incident, we went like this technology-wise. Like, boom. It's almost a vertical, just straight up. There's no like this. It's just like this. Because quantum computing has become the main target for a lot of scientists right now, today. Computer engineers, computer scientists, theoretical physicists, and all that. It's quantum computing. If we can maximize the technology that's in quantum computing, we could probably get AI to become more advanced than it was. And we can probably get a lot of things figured out that we probably don't know the answers to using quantum computing. But it's still in its infancy. We also need to use quantum computing to navigate through our understanding of the multiverse and how galaxies are formed and all that. I think we just went back in technology. We almost had no skilled trades anymore. And we lost knowledge on how Rome made their concrete amongst other ancient buildings, knowledge they had to. Well, Cleve, you're talking about like ancient, the ancient Romans, ancient Greeks, the Greece. They even had a computer. They created one. They did their concrete is probably the strongest concrete known to man, and it's still standing today. Ours is terrible. We have the worst concrete. U.S. builds the worst concrete. Romans are the best, so hands down. They understood the aqueduct, so they created the aqueduct too. So, they understood irrigation and all that stuff, and it was pretty impressive how they were able to do all that. The Greeks had steam technology too. They were talking about, like, you know, they created steam engines and stuff thousands of years before it was created in the Americas, and then also in the Britain. So there's a lot like that we lost over time, but sometimes, you know, it comes back. It just kind of like revolves around in a circle. Like the flying machine, Leonardo da Vinci thought of it, but it wasn't kind of like addressed again until 1910s, I think it was, when the Wright brothers figured it out. Yeah, they even had clocks. Very interesting. Yeah, they had clocks too. Yeah, yep. They had access to stuff, and also our own government, you know, loses stuff and deletes stuff. I mean, the 1960 moon landing. I don't remember, it's 1963 or 1962 moon landing, something like that. Like when we did the moon landing, all the files that were related to that are completely missing. I agree with Conqueef, certain skills being lost with tech. Yep. Used to be a good speller before. Yeah. Can someone spell cup for me? Like, say it out loud. I would like to hear you say it. Please. Yeah, so yeah, we're all getting worse at grammar too. Yeah, you facts. Periods and punctuation, commas, we need all of it. So, like the moon landing, right? NASA completely, yeah, not L, not L. All right, so, you messed up my train of thought. Spell check. So the moon landing, NASA loses the like all the documentation regarding it. They lose it. I mean, communicate with emojis of Egypt. Yeah, did that 3,000 years before us. Yeah, the hieroglyphics. Yeah, they sure did. They had all that before us. That's facts. So, funny enough, right, with technology being lost and everything, like they still haven't gone back to the moon. They're talking about doing this recently. They were like, okay, we're having an initiative. We're going to get back to the moon. NASA's like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this. Like, okay, bro, like, cool. Go back to the moon. Yay. Like, that's going to make me, like, jump for joy. No, you want to impress me, mofo? Go over to Mars and make some freaking potatoes over there in the dirt. You know what I mean? I'm not impressed with you going to the moon. Like, no. Unless you're going to go to the part of the moon that we're not supposed to go to, because there's a theory about that too, that there's a part of the moon that we're not supposed to go to. Go to that part of the moon, all right? And live stream it. Y'all go on YouTube, live stream that stuff using some Starlink, all right? You make sure Elon puts some Starlink over there, and you guys live stream it. All right, you go like this, like, yeah, I'm at the moon. What's up, everybody? And then you got, may I subscribe? I believe we went to the moon, but I believe footage was fake. Well, that in itself, it's kind of like one of those things that we can't confirm or deny it. So I'm not sure how that would go about. Yeah. So let's see where we at. The reason I think the footage was fake was if you study America was losing space race. I mean, yes and no. Yes, because the Russians had the satellite Sputnik first. Yes, because the Russians were the first to send up I think it was a dog in space. But the Russians didn't send any human to space yet. The US was like, we're going to do that. So they did it with a chimp. Chimp came back. And then they did their first Apollo. I think it was, they did 10 of them as a test. Then the 11th one was the one that they went and landed, I believe. Or was it Apollo 10? It was one of the two. But they had to test it first and make sure humans can go to space without getting their eyeballs sucked out of their head. And with the technology we had yesterday, I don't know how they did it. How they were able to create a vacuum in space and test it without killing people. That's true, but I don't see them being able to stream footage in the moon in the 60s. Yeah, I got you. I got the being able. Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and after we already know. Oh, look at this. They're real, but I haven't seen them. Golly, Mama, you're just crazy. All right. So I use Grok, y'all. I don't use like Gemini because, you know, I'm not a simp for Gemini. I like Grok because it uses a different algorithm. I recently heard that space might actually have water. I don't know how true it is. Well, it's very true. Space has water, but what happens when you put water in absolute zero there? Water becomes an absolute zero. Grok is good. Yeah, Vindex. Thank you. It is. Yeah, so water in absolute zero, pretty much that's like space, absolute zero. Because it's very, very, very fine ice, but a really hard version of ice. And then if you put that water in front of just a little bit of the sun, it turns into a gas and it's like propulsion. So that's how comets move. Comets move in space because there's ice in space. And waters usually get shot out from other objects in space. I believe we got a few in around Saturn. I think it's Grenmine. They found out that there's an ocean inside of one of the planets that surround Saturn or Jupiter, one of the two. And it's got to be Saturn. I think it's Saturn. That they learned that it shoots geysers, and like this is just a scale, but this is thousands of miles. Not Saturn. No, not Saturn. Hang on. Let me search for it. I think it's Grenmine, whatever you freaking how you spell it. Has geysers. Oh, okay, yeah, it's Enclendus. That's it. There it is. All right, so I'm going to give y'all some images of this. Check this out. So they did, like I took an astrology class or something like that, right? Let me go to visit. All right. Let me open this image. So they did a study because they didn't realize what was going on. They were like, okay, there's something happening around Saturn with one of their moons. Their entire planet's made of water, yes, and this is one of them. So this is covered by entire ice. They realize that these cracks are actually formed because it gets hot enough to break. There's a tidal, it's like tidal forces that squeeze the planet's core and push and pull to the point where it heats up. And the ocean inside of this, Enclendus, is so warm that it cracks the ice. And this geyser that you're looking at the bottom of the screen there, that's thousands of miles or kilometers in space, shooting water out. And those water particles get put into Saturn. That's what created Saturn's ring, is this planet's geysers. So this is really interesting, right? And when they discovered this, they were like, we have to send probes out there and we got to explore this a little more. So Titan, there's an initiative to go to Titan. It's already out in space right now. It's going to take, what was the Titan mission? What is it called? Dragonfly. All right, so this one, Dragonfly mission. Let me copy you. So, Dragonfly is a rotor craft that will launch to Titan in 2028, and it will take about 6 years to go over there. They must have delayed it, because I remember them sending a probe already. There was one that was sent up in like 2022. So Dragonfly is going to go to Titan, and it's going to explore Titan. And they want to see if they go to Titan, what's there. They want to explore it, because they had something land in Titan, and they got like about a minute or two of footage before it died, because it ended itself there. It kind of like landed. But what they got in those little bit of time, what's on Saturn's planet, little moon, Titan, they found an atmosphere there. They found like hard surface. They found methane water, liquid water. Yeah, so it's a moon, Queef, but it's a moon that might have life on it. Traveling through space is scary. I don't want to get stuck. Yeah, don't get stuck in space. So it's very interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on, like in the space race and all that stuff, but we need to be able to see these things. Problem is, propulsion-wise, we ain't got the freaking technology to go to these areas and do anything with them. All right. So with all that, think about it. It's instant death. So let me read you guys this. If you can see it, I'll leave it here for you. So I asked this question. What could a full disclosure of the UFO files mean for humanity if there are proof of extraterrestrial beings? And I think I spelled extraterrestrial. No, I spelled it right. Yay! No spell check for me. Sweet. All right, so a full disclosure of the UFO/UAP files confirming proof of extraterrestrial beings would represent one of the most profound events in human history. All right, potentially reshaping every aspect of society, science, philosophy, and global affairs. Now, this is what I was saying earlier of how important that line that was saying about the existence of life, extraterrestrial life, aliens, and that we've had contact. Why? Because what could happen to us as a people, humanity? All right, while this remains hypothetical because of what's out there information-wise, governments like the U.S. have repeatedly denied possessing verifiable evidence of extraterrestrial materials. Government, or beings. We can draw from experts' analysis, historical analogies, and recent discussions to explore the implications. Below, this is going to explain everything for us, okay? So now, disclosure could accelerate human progress exponentially. Now, remember what I was saying. What happened when the theory is Eisenhower meets these beings and we share technology? A few years later, the microchips created. A few years later, we create mainframes. A few years later, like it just keeps, every few years we release something new. Our trajectory from the 1950s goes not like this. It goes like this. Like it bumps a little bit and boom. Like, I mean, completely vertical. It is wild. It would devastate religion, even though Christians say aliens are demons or fallen angels. That's a good crown argument. Yeah, I mean, they could totally go that direction. I mean, it could. All right, so if the files revealed advanced extraterrestrial technology such as propulsion systems defying known physics, metamaterials, or energy sources, it might trigger a global innovation gold rush. Now, what this is saying is propulsion, right? Now, I don't know if you guys know a guy named Bob Lazar, but Bob Lazar is a gentleman who says he worked on extraterrestrial craft that had a particular propulsion system that defied gravity itself. It created a force field and it used an element as its fuel. This element is what gave it warp drives. Hey, there we go, Fantastic Max. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like the warp drives, which is like what the theory is. Think of an object inside of a tesseract. Okay, like have you ever seen a tesseract? It's a square and it's like it kind of moves within itself and it goes like this inside and out as a square. Just think of that object and it just you can't really tell, but it's a square that comes. It keeps making a cube, but it's a cube inside of a cube kind of thing. The object sits in the center, and it's like a cube that can move independently and everything outside of kind of time itself, pretty much. Think of that as like a bending of light and bending of gravity, and just completely envelops itself in a frictionless environment. It's this little bubble. That bubble allows the object to move freely through it. The propulsion to create something like that, you need an anti-gravity machine. Yep, I looked into him. He's iffy in my opinion. All his claims have been proven correctly, including his claims being Area 51, but still interesting to listen to. Oh, really? So, did you see, Queef, what they used as a way to get into that S4 that he was at? What kind of biometrics they used? And this was in the 80s. They had a scan that he would put his hand in there, and it would literally measure the bones and the density of the bones in his entire arm and his hand, just to say that was him. They didn't look at his fingerprints. They looked at his bone density and his bone structure. like the shape of the bones, the length in between each bone, like from the phalanges and everything, and his all the way to his wrists and his forearm. They measured that, and if it matched, he got in. You understand? Like that's technology right there, bro. And that was in the 70s, 80s. You know, like what? That's some wild stuff. All right, so this bro, like to have that kind of tech is crazy. And they showed him a picture of it too. And he never thought he was going to see something like that again. But they showed like Jeremy Colbert or something like that. He showed him the picture of that thing he used. And he said he couldn't describe it. He didn't know how to do it, but he would say it would measure his bone density and the length of his bones per, like it was weird biometrics, so he just didn't understand it. But that was proven, right? He was using biometrics before biometrics was even a thing. He talked about the element I think is 115. That thing hadn't even been synthesized yet, and he was talking about it. They just put it on the periodic table because, like they said, it falls under even 114, 116. It's like in between that. But we don't have a name for it. They just called it that. And then they synthesized it, but it was unstable in the last like 15 years. Like they weren't even able to synthesize it and make it stable, because he says the technology to make something like this, it came from a different star system, this object. It comes from a star system where this is more common and abundant than it is in our own star system. So there's something about the star that they come from that creates this element, and it's not difficult for them to synthesize. So that's high level like technology they have to do something that's kind of impossible to do on our version of what physics are and chemistry. Okay, so why I'm saying that, why Bob Lazar is relevant to this, is because he worked on these propulsion systems. He looked at these things. He tried to reverse engineer them. He couldn't get anywhere with it, but he spent days and years trying to figure it out. And he says there are 7 craft, I believe, that are in our possession to what his claims are. Okay. Now, the metamaterials are that material I was talking about, the element. Then there's also this metamaterial that's it's a metal that's very, very strong, but very, very malleable. It doesn't break. It doesn't break easily. You know, it could break, but it's very difficult to do. And it's cool to the touch. No matter how hot you make it, it never gets hot. It could be next to a star and it won't get hot. All right, so those are kind of metamaterials that he's talking about. Yeah, so let's go to private companies, governments, and researchers would rush to reverse engineer these. That's exactly what I was just talking about with Bob Lazar. Similar how declassified tech like GPS or the internet spawned trillion-dollar industries. Now, yes and no. Like GPS was hidden from us, internet was hidden from us for a while, but this might not be something that we could recreate. We don't have it, but there's a company. It's owned by a billionaire. I don't remember his name, but this guy has alien craft in his possession, and he's refusing to let it go. And Lockheed Martin also is supposedly having craft in their possession too, recovered craft, and they're refusing to let it go. We have a lot of government contracts with Lockheed Martin, so especially for weapon systems and whatnot. Them not letting go of this stuff is going to cause issues, and we need to figure out how we can retrieve something like this without any kind of pushback, but with government oversight, because we need to know these things. But these people that are in power in those companies kind of like use loopholes that even circumvent our own government declassification authority. They use a different loophole, so they can keep it classified no matter how much president says, because they're using a different channel. This is also discussed in the Age of Disclosure documentary. So these are probably the pushbacks we're going to see. All right, so fields like quantum physics, aerospace, and material science would see breakthroughs, potentially leading to faster than light travel, unlimited clean energy, or anti-gravity applications. All right, so FTL is what Star Trek uses. And guys, can you help me out here? Star Trek's the one with Darth Vader and like Luke Skywalker, right? That's Star Trek. Yeah, and then Star Wars got like Captain Kirk and Spock. You know, live long and prosper, right? Those are the two. I'm just kidding. I know the difference. I'm just kidding. But yeah, Star Trek. You know, when they say they say the faster than light travel that they go on, they kind of like see the Enterprise stretch, and then it zooms into space. The way Star Wars shows it is they hit the warp speed and you see the stars stretch and then they push in. That's FTL. To do faster than light travel, you would have to figure out a way to create a propulsion that would pull you faster than even gravity would move. You would have to be able to escape a black hole, because light can't even escape a black hole. That's kind of interesting that they're talking about this as like a possibility, but this is all like theoretical, because our physics doesn't say that we can do, there's nothing that exists that can do that. There's only thing that's one constant in the universe, and it's always there, even if there's nothing. Gravity will always be there. Black hole has immense gravity, and this gravity is strong. So gravity doesn't have a limit to it as of right now. Light photons have a limit to them. I think it's 183 meters per second, 183,000 meters per second, or something like that. That's the limitation of a photon. That's light. Photon is light. E equals mc squared, pretty much. That's the speed of light. That's what the constant is. Like, you know, constant is gravity. Gravity is there. It never goes away. And as long as there's gravity, there will always be that constant, that things that attract towards. So then there's this thing about dark matter. There's this thing about dark energy. You know, you start looking into those theoretical physics and how things are stuck together, kind of things. Like, what keeps galaxies intact? What keeps planets from just not spinning and blowing themselves into space? What's keeping everything glued together? They're all saying dark matter. Like, the stuff that you don't see is what's holding everything together. But if you guys want to go into quantum physics and all that stuff, you're more than welcome to read those books. Listen to Star Talk with what's his name, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and all that. This might position disclosing nations, example given the U.S., as leaders in a new tech boom, creating jobs, patents, and economic stimulus. Yes, the world would have the second coming of the industrial age, which would be the technological age. We're going to be breaking through all theories. Like we were going to have breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough. The unlimited energy, unlimited clean energy. Recently, I say in the last 3+ years, scientists were able to create a star, a micro star, and this was fusion. For a while now, nuclear fusion had been theoretical. Nuclear fission is the splitting of the atom, which is the divide, that's where the energy becomes massive explosions and whatnot. But how do we take two things and fuse them together with nuclear energy? Scientists created a micro star. Okay, hang on. Nuclear fusion experiment success. I think it was France or something. All right. So scientists at the National Ignition Facility at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory have achieved historical, repeatable net energy gain, ignition, producing more energy from a fusion reaction than the laser used to the laser energy used to create it. All right. This breakthrough achieved in December 2022 and then was recreated in 23. Validates in principle human-made fusion can generate power, a key step to clean energy through commercial application remains decades away. So nuclear fusion is the piece of all of this that has been missing for the longest. They were able to create a God particle from Mass Hadron Collider. Yes, the Hadronic Collider has made a particle that they were saying that's what sparked the Big Bang. They were able to find out what that was. That's the particle that they figured was the key element in space that we don't see it because it's so small and it dies out pretty quickly. Just so you know, okay, that particle didn't last long. But they said just knowing that it exists, if you had a big enough collision or you had a big enough explosion, that particle could be sent across the cosmos to generate this spark. But nuclear fusion, was the one thing that was always missing in our awakening as a human race, because we were using natural resources. We weren't creating our own source. If we could create a reactor that can create a nuclear fusion, its energy creating its own self is perpetual energy. It will never go away. It will never die because we are actually creating a star. The sun is a nuclear fusion reactor on a cosmic scale. Our own sun is doing nuclear fusion. It's burning its own fuel, though. So we have to be mindful that those resources are finite. But if we have a reactor, it can go in and reuse it. It can go in and pull new fuel because the exhaust is not going out in space. The exhaust is going back into the reactor. But they were able to create this thing. Yes. Okay, yes. I'm not disagreeing. The fact that particle exists and they identified it is a big deal. You're correct. Yes. But the nuclear fusion is that clean energy part that they were talking about. Okay. The third piece that's missing in all of this is the anti-gravity application, which would mean we need an engine that would create anti-gravity. We have elements that have applications of this. if you take, it's, what is it? Something, oh my God, superconductor. Superconductor at room temperature. Propulsion discovery. All right. So, South Korea, 2023. Researchers, they have claimed the discovery of LK99, a material rumored to be the first superconductor working both room temperature and ambient pressure. While the initial reports indicated it could revolutionize electronics, zero resistance subsequent investigation of a global scientific community largely debunked this claims, concluding it was not a superconductor. This video excites this skepticism. Okay, so this is what this right here. Hello, Triple H. All right, so the superconductor is an object that can resist gravity, move freely, and it hovers. If we can create it in a mass scale, it would defy everything. But the only way a superconductor can actually be utilized right now is in liquid nitrogen. It has to be completely doused in it, and then it can only function for a short time because the nitrogen kind of cools and gets heated up, and it loses its frictionless hovering state. But if this theoretical claim could be utilized, it's a version of anti-gravity on a elemental scale, but it cannot do this for long. It has a shelf life, and it's very, very limited. But that's the kind of stuff they're looking into. Okay, this is the kind of thing that they need to figure out, because the minute we figure out kind of manipulating gravity in itself, if we can manipulate gravity, we can travel faster than light. Those are the three pieces you need. You need an energy source that can create this, that's clean, and it's propulsive. The propulsion can work off of it, and it will always be there, because that's the one thing in space that we're limited on is our resources. We can't put jet fuel. Like, we can't carry a lot of it. It takes a lot to put something in space to escape gravity. But you put a reactor in there that has its own, like, fusion reactor. It's fusion reactor in it. It's unlimited. It doesn't die. It's a star. It's a literal star. You get billions of years out of it. The object will exist past our lifetime and our existence as a human race. So you got that, right? What are the other two? Unlimited clean energy, anti-gravity, which would create the faster than light travel. Those are the three things that would be needed for that, okay, for space. But we need parts of it before we move on to the next. Right now, we have the theoretical unlimited clean energy. Right now, we have a theoretical anti-gravity application, but we don't have a faster than light travel because you need infinite energy speed. Exactly, Kay. If we had that, okay, if you want to come up on Discord and talk, if you're curious, pop in Discord. We're in there. Just come on in and talk. Come on in if you want to contribute. You're more than welcome, because you seem very interested in this one too. So I'll let you take some time and you can explain what you know. So a lot of this stuff here, I kind of like found through my research and stuff. So then here we go. On the flip side, if beings are far more advanced, like as astronomers Frank Drake, the Drake equation, and which means like there was civilizations with potentially billions in number and thousands of years ahead. I'm thinking billions of years ahead, but we might face an intellectual wormhole to knowledge that skips a millennia of development. However, this could highlight humanity's vulnerabilities, such as over reliance on alien tech without understanding it, leading to unintended consequences like weaponization or environmental disasters. Well, yeah, duh. What happens to us as a people, right? They know we're violent. It's no secret. We're a violent freaking. The human race is a violent race, bro. We are the most vicious people, especially if you got 50 Cent out there releasing freaking Jim Jones eviction and he kicking down a door because he got evicted. It's like you got people like that out there. So, yeah. So everything again. I'm actually doing content stuff a moment. Yeah. Okay. Like I said, again, if you want to, if you're done with your stuff and I'm up, cool. If not, we can continue this tomorrow if you want to jump in. We'll do it around 2:00 your time. Okay. Up to you. Just let me know. So, yeah, our existence has been violent stuff. So if you go back to our history, a lot of it's war, a lot of it's like, destruction and chaos and all that stuff. We're just like 4 to 5 year olds that just completely destroy everything. So that's our role. Hang on, y'all. I'm gonna type something. All right, I'm good. I'm all about paranormal stuff, including aliens. Yeah, Triple H. I mean, if you want to come on up and talk too, come on in. Come on in. Yeah, you could talk about this stuff, whatever you know and everything, and things that you looked into. It's open for y'all if you guys have access to the Discord. And if you don't have access to the Discord, you guys, all you got to do is just pop on in, and we'll give you guys access inside of the Discord to speak and everything, so you can say your thoughts on the matter. Okay. So with us having a lot of violence in our history and whatnot, and like the things that were negative around the world and with things that we have geopolitically, it doesn't look like we're ready for this unlocking of our consciousness. Like, you would have to turn off your bias. You would have to turn off your like kind of, yes, we can never have world peace in our society. It's unfortunate, although I believe the aliens would aid us in harmonizing. Yes. I would say that we're violent for sure. Yeah. Hey, James, was good. Yeah. So this here, right? It creates a bigger problem, and I do agree with Kay, because I believe it was Ronald Reagan that said this when he created the Star Wars initiative, and Ronald Reagan had to have known, right? With him saying Star Wars initiative, like, he said, how interesting it would be that all of our differences would kind of just like completely disappear if there was a threat from outside of the planet. Like, how we would have to come together to face this common enemy. He says the differences that we have would vanish. Religion would vanish. Financial, right? So like social class. Like if you were a trades person, technology person, white collar, blue collar, like all that stuff that kind of separates us as a people would just vanish and it'd just be gone, because we are having to deal with our life on Earth and how to defend it from things that are beyond the stars. Like they're beyond our star and our solar system and everything. Like that implication alone would mean we would be ready if we're willing to put those differences aside. But until then, we're not ready. You know how people used to say, especially Tupac used to say, we ain't ready for a black president. He said that in the song Changes right after he passed. This is like posthumous or whatever. I forget what they call that word, but it's like it's released after he passes away. It starts with a P. Can't remember words right now. I got dementia, I think. But he had said that, and then about almost 30 years, just think about it. In my lifestyle, I'm an alien amongst my brothers and sisters. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true, Kay. But you know what? If you're the individual, all right, Kay, I'd rather be associated with peeps like you that feel that way, because I don't want to be amongst the crowd if the crowd's like dull. If the crowd would rather do gig work than, and sports bet than just, do a 9-to-5, I would rather be a part of your crowd. I will come up, but my son's birthday is tomorrow. Okay, get it ready. But we have another of these that definitely come up in chat. Oh, Triple H, tomorrow. We'll do one tomorrow, 3:00 Eastern. We'll have one. We'll have a stream. It's going to be conspiracy theories the first hour. And if it's popping, we'll continue it. Yeah, so us as a species. Yo, shout out to the Reynolds, the Burts. What up? So with us as a human race, we have a lot of problems, like societal, and we have a lot of problems with geopolitics, and we have a lot of problems with economics, macro, micro. There's a lot of issues, right? I'm under the impression of I'm that 0.1% that wants to have the disclosure. I want to see this. I'm terrified, but by the way, because you don't know what you don't know. And we fear always what we don't know. So how do we navigate it? Yeah. Like how do we learn from that? How do we become the people that can open up our minds and be ready for something like this? When you got folks that are religious, like really deep in their religion, that would call all this that's going to happen blasphemous, and would say that we are, demonic beings, or we're possessed and stuff. And mental health is like, possession. And you still have those people around that would refuse to open their mind because they have not been accustomed to new things, change, different stuff. They weren't forced into a different reality than the one they were living in. They stuck in their bubble. Sheep don't ever go outside of their flock. And the one sheep that does tends to be gone and never come back. But it's like Schrodinger's cat. Just because the sheep wandered doesn't mean the sheep died. It could be. a predator got to the sheep, or the sheep prospered and the sheep that went on its own, even though it wandered, learned how to survive out in the wild because it was introduced to change every single day. That's what we need to do as people. And that's what it's important to just travel. If you've never done that before, leave the country, go to another one, learn how they live, learn their culture, and learn their customs and ways. I've been to plenty of different countries. One thing I think about is who's going to be afraid and who is brave enough to communicate. Yeah, even though I'm terrified of it, right? I go to communicate with the possibility of knowing I probably would get incinerated because if I said something wrong. Will fear control us, or will we want to learn from them? That's the thing. That's the thing, Holly. Triple H, that's the thing. That would be funny is trans community is under attack. What if aliens tell us the race is transhuman, bro? Okay, that's freaking ridiculous, but I feel you on that. That would be ridiculously like ironic. that would be the most ironic thing in the world. Just irony in it at its finest. Okay, so like the fear, right? The fear factor. Would we attack something that is benevolent, but we're just too afraid that we don't know, right? And I think that's the problem of that consciousness that I was telling you about. We're not ready for. Even if we're afraid of what we don't know. What if angels, transcendent beings in reality? Yeah. What if? No, I don't think we are the angels. No, I don't think we are. I think what we considered angels and transcendent beings are those aliens. Because they could fly, we can't. They can manipulate matter, we can't. People always run away from what they don't understand. Exactly, Kay. So, like the thought of that, and then the thought of like being able to take that information that we, as society, history, and everything. What I get you, Kay. I see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down, just like Burp be saying. Oh, what's facts? What's up, BVaz? I quit weed a long time ago, but I feel like I need to roll out on the stream. You funny, dude. Yeah, I'm telling you, like it's deep, bro. It's like deep convo right now. But I mean, like think about that, right? Like if this actually happens, I mean, Grays have not been reported to have sexual orientation. They are, you know what's funny about that? What if the Greys are actually clones that were purposely made, right? Without any anatomy, so they could survive space travel. They're like the Tesla robots, but biologically. You get what I'm saying? So they could survive. So they could survive the length of time it takes to get to us from their galaxy or star. They probably have an infinite lifespan because of it. They don't age. They're just clones. You know? Wouldn't that like throw you off, guys? Like we're creating robotic drones, and they got or clones. And they got biological clones that are robots, but in a biological way. That would be like, that's boom, you know. Certain fish species males carry babies. That's true. I think the seahorse does it. There's a lot of memes about it. It's funny as hell. Like the seahorse giving birth and he's like screaming in pain. As he's pushing out the little seahorses. He's oh gosh. I'm sorry, I just had that thought in my head. Yeah, so you know, you look into that You look into that. Like how can we understand something we don't understand in a benevolent way that we won't attack it? But you know what's going to happen if this all comes out, right? We're going to want to beef up our defenses because, like, now it's like you got folks that are psychopaths. Like, we got to protect them. Oh, we got to protect the U.S. and we got to create this. We got to create this whole thing. Oh, here we go. We got to create the tremendous bombs and we got to create them. Oh, we got to create we got to. Okay, we got to have the best bombs, the gorgeous bombs, the most beautiful bombs. You got to have them. It's like we would do something like that, right? Like because that's just natural human instinct. Certain salmon change gender depending on mating. Yeah. Yes. Adapting and overcoming. So, like, if our, like, I'm just 0.1%, guys. I'm just 0.1%. I would like for the weapons to be put down, opening up the mind, and telling the world, guys, we got to stop the infighting. We got to stop the issues that we have with each other, and the radicals need to go. Like thank you, Triple H. Male peacocks are pretty ones with colors. Yes, the dull colors are the females. Yep, that's how they attract the mates. So, Kay, are you the peacock? Because you're the pretty one? Is that what you're saying, Kay? You the pretty one? Period. I mean, I want you to say period on that. So I knew you were gonna say yes. So let's go. Oh, you kill me, man. You kill me. Oh, it's so funny. Yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh, you're so much. You're so too much sometimes, Kay. I could hear you laughing right now. I hear you laughing. Like I could hear that laugh, that infectious laugh you got. So, like, we got to put down the guns. We got to put down the differences. Like, literally take them away, because we all put our pants the same. We all pee, we all poop, right? We all eat. I think religion as a whole, organized religion, would have to be the first thing to go in order to unlock that consciousness. Hear me out. Okay, if you guys are religious and everything, that's fine. I don't disrespect the religious. I don't disrespect nobody who has a belief system. All right, we got Ramadan going already with peoples. Assalamu alaikum to all you guys. And, it's dusk now. I hope you guys are feasting. We all bleed the same. We all expire. Correct. I'm just saying, just hear me out. Kind of a hot take from me. Okay, this is BVaz Takes. Hot take, y'all. Why I say organized religion needs to go? Because the books that are dictating the sheeple cannot unlock their brain to a higher consciousness for the event of an extraterrestrial being coming into society. You think we have an issue right now with immigration? What the hell are we going to do when we're dealing with galactical beings? Are we going to get ice to round them up too? Them dudes can incinerate us. We're done. I agree, BVaz. They've only caused divisions, created to weaponize. Yeah. Imagine, like, we got a problem right now with immigration. Like, it's a worldwide problem too. It's not just it's not a U.S. problem. Every country across this entire planet has had issues with immigration. Those are real illegals in space for real. The only option we have is to submit. Yes. Yes, that is key. Okay, I think you have more to offer to this whole topic, and I'm sorry that I'm doing this to you. I know you want to say it because it's easier to say it than type it. We have no way to defend ourselves. Yeah, exactly. And this is why I would say organized religion needs to go. The sheeple would fall into the book because the book is not a good guide. The book is like the pirate's code, right? They're more like guidelines than actual code, like that, from Pirates of the Caribbean. Well, there really is no pirate's code, like that kind of stuff. So the pirate's code, i.e. the Bible, they could be good or evil. We really don't know. And that's the thing. We don't know what we don't know, Holly. I mean, Triple H. Let me keep calling you Holly. Triple H. That's the ultimate guide of submission in the Bible. Yes. So sheeple use a book. It could be any book. The Torah, the Quran, the Bible, a stone tablet, all that stuff. Anything that would tell general public to control the masses, to keep them in check with that fear element. This is what's going on. That has to go because it's not a good guide to a higher level of consciousness. It works for, medieval times, the feudal system and whatnot, to keep people in check. Like, you're a farmer, you need a farm because the Lord said that you got a farm. All right. And you're a carpenter, and you're gonna be a carpenter because the Lord says that you got to be a carpenter. And you're a king because the Lord blessed you with the kingship. That's it worked then. Technology came in, and kind of like a lot of the discoveries shown that the Bible is not an accurate depiction of history, because there are things that are over 300 to 400,000 years old that are objects that have been discovered, that have completely just flipped upside down human evolution and human history. What we considered our direct lineage is not what's out there right now and being discovered because of years of erosion and all that stuff, and how the land has changed and over time and everything. There are things underneath us that have yet to be discovered that are older than the human race, the intellectual human race. The intellectual human race is no more than 15,000 years old. That's how far back history goes. But they've been finding things that are over 300,000 years old that have language on them. They have graphs and glyphs on them, and they have communicative devices on them. Like, they have some way of communication, and they're monoliths. They need to work to pay taxes, not because God says so. Exactly. I believe in God, but not the church as a building or an idea. You understand? Yeah, I get you, Triple H. Triple H, that's called spiritualism. I'm not saying spiritualism is wrong. I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that needs to go away. Spiritualism. What I'm saying is organized religion that tells people, the sheeple, that your life is going to be controlled and every decision you make is going to be decided through this book. A man-made object is going to tell you how to live. You cannot understand a higher level consciousness and to get what extraterrestrial beings are if you're stuck in the sheeple mindset. You could still be spiritual and then go, I understand there are beings of advanced knowledge and advanced technology that are billions of years older than us, thousands to billions. Their societies have thrived. Their societies have traveled the cosmos. We're the babies. We need to learn from these people. We can't be locked into a book that's going to tell us we are not to see this science, and we are not to, because we don't understand it. It is the devil. It's the devil, Bobby. It's the devil. Well, Mama, you don't know everything. Okay, Mama? I don't believe that we have the intellectual capacity to understand what nuances of what God actually is. And that's another thing that's a problem too, Kay. Because what if God is those aliens? Our concept of God is a highly advanced technological being that traveled the cosmos and gave us our intelligence because of its image. We exist today as we are because aliens came in and made us. They're our God. Do you understand how it would flip on each other's heads? Like religion itself would just collapse. Organized religion, all of it collapses because it's all one religion. There's no more Muslims. There's no more Buddhism. There's no more, what's the other one? Hinduism. There's no more Catholicism. There's no more Protestants. All right. Christian Protestants. There's none of that. They all melt away. That's why if you get rid of the organized religion now, if you get rid of it now, and open to the idea that this might be your creator, you'll have that extra layer of consciousness that needs to be there to unlock. You'll be ready because you'll prepare yourself. I think atheism gave me that jump start. I just think that organized religion is complete garbage, and it's destroyed society. It hasn't done any benefit to it. I would say what would help is no more fighting. Just saying, yeah, Triple H, I freaking get it. No fighting, none. Because if you just like fight with fists, fight with weapons, and you don't know how to fight intellectually, where you could be like having a conversation that has points, ideas, and like opinions, and you're able to like clearly dictate them and concise with it, and you don't talk in a circle, you don't give word salads, and you don't rehash the same thing talking about the past 17 times in a row that looks like a rerun episode, of talking about how everything bad happened to you in your life and like how you're starting over again, and you have to go away to a place for a week, but then still do the same stuff that you was doing, but you're on a vacation, those kinds of things. You got to be able to like get yourself out of that. You got to be able to put yourself in a higher level, be able to communicate that and word everything, and just be able to open yourself up to this higher consciousness. So you could walk and talk at the same time and still have an intellectual conversation. So with this, let's move on to the next stuff. All right. So finishing this, however, this could also be highlighting humanity's over vulnerabilities, right? And we have this for unattended weaponization or environmental disasters. Now we're going to move forward to societal and cultural shifts. So everything we were just talking about for the last like 25, 30 minutes, going to be explained right here. So humanity's self-perception will undergo a seismic change, moving from an anthropocentric view to recognizing we're not alone, or perhaps even the most advanced species. We're not. We just became bottom of the food chain. That's what I said. If this is ever realized if it ever comes out that this is true. This could foster global unity as petty divisions, national, racial, ideological, as I said, pale against the cosmic perspective, encouraging cooperation on existential issues like climate change or space colonization. Philosophically, it might spark a species-level maturity, promoting empathy, neuroscience achievements, and reevaluation of consciousness. Is exactly what I was mentioning. All of it. Religions might adapt or fracture. Some faiths could integrate extraterrestrials as part of divine creation, while others face crises if doctrine assumes Earth-centric uniqueness. Historical analogies like the Copernican revolution, which decenter Earth without societal collapse, suggests long-term adaptation rather than immediate chaos. Studies on reactions to discovering microbial life, more likely first step, indicate people would respond positively overall with the more reward-oriented language than risk-focused in media coverage. However, for intelligent beings, the impact can mirror the Columbian Exchange, where contact between civilization and dominance, destruction of the less advanced. So, what he's talking about is what happened with the Spaniards in Colombia. The Indians of that time, or the natives, saw these people they never seen before, and they came down and they shared all their wealth with them and the bountiful food. Showed them their language, exchanged currency, what they consider currency, exchanged gold with them. And that's kind of like how the El Dorado kind of myth was born, was through that exchange. That leader of that group, I don't remember who it was, but some conquistador who went over there to check it out. I don't remember his name. I don't know if it was Ponce de Leon or Cortez. I can't remember if it was Cortez or Ponce de Leon. I think it's Cortez. During the night, this guy slaughtered all the dudes, all the men that were fighting in fighting shape were slaughtered. The women were all captured and taken, and the king was left with nothing, or the leader was left with nothing, because they were less advanced. That's the part B. That's the part that history has shown us, that our karma is going to come back tenfold. That at first, they're kind. At first, they're nice. But in the dark of night, they will attack. And we are not ready for it. Okay? So here is a chart of like positives and negatives of the aspects. So we have the philosophical, the psychological, and social. So positive of this is increased wonder, reduced isolation, potential for global empathy, and reduced tribalism. This is the 0.1% I was talking about. This is the positive side. I'm going to give it to the 0.1%. The negative is the 99.9. Widespread panic, mental health crisis, or formation of cults, extremist groups, erosion of trust in institutions if cover-ups are confirmed. This is what's probably going to happen because cover-ups are confirmed. I already knew. I knew for a long time that there's some sus things going on, and we can't do anything about it. And I just live like that, knowing that. And I'm just going to have a great time either way. Just going to live life the way it's meant to be. Free and without any regrets. Yeah, regrets. I said regrets. Economic. Boom in research and development, space industries, and new markets like space tourism. Destigmatization of UAP research, meaning there'll be more for it. All right, so negative. Market volatility, meaning the markets itself would crumble. It would just fall apart. Stock market crashes. Resource hoarding or geopolitical races to exploit tech, benefiting elites while finding inequalities. I'm thinking this is going to happen. This is the 0.1%. This is 99.9%. Live life to the fullest, protect your family. Great to be aware, but we're not beating any of this. Exactly. Keep in mind that the government has also calculated these outcomes. That's why they haven't done it. And it's weird that they're talking about it now. It's like, this is some big, like, it's big impacts. So, security and political. Unified defense against potential threats, moral imperative for transparency and science. So, again, 0.1%. Heightened tensions with adversaries, i.e. China and Russia, in reverse engineering races, biosecurity risks, and international conflicts. Again, 99.9% of this is on the right. This is the probability, guys, of the population being 99.9% on the right and 0.1% on the left. And when I say this is of the world population, not the U.S., the world. Some people believe that aliens are in big places in our government as we speak. Yes. That they're part of the elites. Yes. That's some of the things I read too. All right. So it's potential risk and downsides. Not all outcomes will be utopian. Disclosure might fuel conspiracy theories already spiraling and damaging the democratic trust, which that's what I was mentioning. If the beings are malevolent or indifferent, it could expose vulnerabilities. Think advanced probes or visits that governments have allegedly concealed since the 1930s. Like, that's a big deal. Power structures might not democratize knowledge. Instead, national security excuses would persist. Patriot Act, anyone? Leading to continued secrecy and tribal struggles over tech. Worst case scenarios include civil unrest, cybersecurity threats, or even self-destruction if we mishandle alien insights. As Russian astronomer Yosef Leshkovsky warned about advanced civilizations facing crises like thermonuclear wars or AI overreach. Yeah. Policing and governance would need to adapt. Agencies might prepare for unrest, new cults, or biosecurity from alien biology. And if biological remains are confirmed, there's a moral duty to share this with scientists, potentially revolutionize biology, but risking ethical dilemmas like exploitation. So, yeah, everything I was speaking about, it's all there. You know, it's like there's a huge risk. Huge. It's global, the risk. It affects everybody. It's not just the U.S. The United States declassifying something that has been in a secret since the 40s, 30s will spark so much worldwide interest into this that we need to be ready if ever the moment comes that we might have to defend ourselves as a human race. But be ready to just not be ready. You know, we need to learn how to be yoga students, because we need to learn how to bend ourselves over and kiss our ass goodbye. We need to learn how to do that. Long-term existential outlook. Ultimately, this could mark humanity's cosmic adulthood, forcing us to confront our adolescence and evolve towards multi-planetary existence. Proof of aliens might prove biology is as cosmic as stars, and inspiring exploration. Yes, skeptics note high-quality data has never required an extraterrestrial hypothesis so far, and reactions might be muted if the proof is microbial rather than intelligent beings. Disclosure wouldn't end debates. It would start new ones with profound, unpredictable ripples for generations. So that's what Grok has, that summary. And very, very, very interesting that this was all like brought about. I don't have a negative outlook for it, but I do have some caution, and I do warn caution, and I request that those who are watching this and those who are across the planet watching this, if you guys are watching this in post, just keep in mind, like, do the trust but verify kind of thing. Wait for the disclosure. Wait, but be open-minded to the idea that if you see something there that you feel will crack your reality, don't lose your shit. Just be ready to accept what's going to be the new norm. And ICE, y'all guys better strap some jetpacks on there because you're going to be going to space, bruh. You need to get some zip ties because you're going to be taking out some alien spacecraft, all right? Like, my God, ICE. Yeah, running over there. Or anyways, sorry. But it's weird, but I'm kind of excited. I know, yeah, it's exciting, right? But it's like one of those, how do you explain it? You're excited, but you're like concerned at the same time. It's more like, man, I'm super curious, but whoa, what if? You know, like you're throwing out all these like thoughts in your head, like the potential like bad that could come about. But it's like, wow, like I'll grab popcorn and watch it unfold. But at the same time, we got to be ready as a people, not for war, but for elevating us as a society, as a race of people, as the human beings. We have to be able to accept that, and I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle: acceptance. There's going to be a lot of people ready for it, but it's not going to be everybody. And I think the radicals are going to have a problem. The cultists, those people are going to. The ones who are devout, hardcore religious nuts, when they see their religion is completely worthless and means nothing, are going to be the worst ones. They're going to become the radicals. We are adaptable people. As human beings, we can adapt to our environment and surroundings. But can we do this consciously? Can we do this without conflict within our own, is it possible? So, wrapping up, before I finish my wrap up, if you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to write them down, send them, and I will answer them. But we're going to begin the wrap up. I'll give you guys about 5 minutes, okay? So what we learned today? Well, we learned Saturday, Obama released some information that completely boggled the mind. Tried to walk it back, that aliens are real. Dude released classified information, and he wasn't supposed to do. And Trump is now trying to save face with all this to say, okay, let's declassify all of it. Do it now. Get it all out. We need this. People want to know. Do it. Is this a noise from the Epstein? Could be. Could be not. This was already talked about even before that release happened, the second dumping of the files. This was talked about way before that. Epstein's been 15 years. Okay. UFOs have been around thousands of years. The interests of UFOs have been around 60 plus years. The disclosure of it has been around 20 years. They have, it's just been a lot of things over time. Might be a distraction, but to be honest, there's been lots of those before. Yeah. I'm going to go off of what's older than the two. All right. The Epstein stuff is serious, right? All cool, but this whole thing can change society. The Epstein stuff ain't going to change society. It's just going to like make the rich people, the elites, look bad. It's not going to change society. It's not going to stop it. What could stop everything as we know it, how life is as we know it, is the disclosure of aliens being real, and we've had contact with them, and this has happened for this many years. That's what would change everything. That's the bigger story, and that's how the Epstein files will fizzle out. Unfortunate though, because yesterday we got one arrest, but I think we need more arrests, and I think that more people need to be questioned for sure, no doubt. Like, I'm not cool with that kind of like behavior and then nothing get done. Okay. So we looked over like what the implications are, right? And like how it could be a good thing, and then how it could like really go south really fast. I'm in the camp of the 0.1% that are really excited, and that 0.1% is the entire population of the planet. I'm part of that percentage. And I think 99% of the population, 99.9, is going to be so against it. It's going to have implications that are going to last for generations. Like I said, it's going to be a huge problem. It's a huge problem. Media, they need to be held accountable for sure. Triple H looked at technology, how that could help, what would be needed to do these things. Looked at all that. And thank you all for coming. And we're almost done with our 5 minutes here. So if anybody doesn't have a question, we can go ahead and wind this down. Tomorrow, please tune in, 3 o'clock Eastern. Make sure that you're here. We're going to have an interesting stream that we can continue this conversation with. And it will be about conspiracy theories. So if you guys got a topic you want to discuss in the Discord, please put that topic of the conspiracy theory in the Discord. Holly will be around for that, and will be starting it off with us. So when you guys come on, you're going to be able to see Holly talking about what they like, what she likes as far as her interests in the conspiracy theories. I'm thinking it's going to be cool. In between it, we're going to have little surprises. Yeah, Nathaniel, we could do that. Nathaniel, like, put it in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, let me give you the Discord link. I have a what do you call it? A welcome chat that you can put it all in, okay? Put it inside there. Go on in. All right. Yeah, we could discuss 9/11 too. No problem. And Nathaniel, if you want, look up loose change. All right. LOOSE change. That's a good little thing to look at, because a lot of my information will come out of that documentary. So again, thank you very much for those who attended and those who partake. And I got a subscriber, White Wolf. Thank you again for subscribing. You guys have a good evening. You take care, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. All right, y'all. Have a